My college sorority is different. The man from Morgue Street. I had an old, unpleasant dream about her. She was traveling the desert like a Bedouin, but with no dromedary or provisions. All alone for farther than the eye could see. Her blonde hair and freckles were dirty with sand and dried blood. Just keep walking, the resolve in her whole body said. Despite being thirsty for days, she found the strength to sing to herself. Broken by God and hated by the men, enemy of demons, only friends with pain. She has died 1,000 deaths, but was forbidden to rest. She won't mind dying here. It won't be the first, but is far from the last. Foe of the angels, loved by disgrace. Oh dear, I just want to lay my head in a warm embrace. Her melody was beautiful and sad, like the last song of a dying phoenix. The dream seemed to last for a long time. She died from exhaustion during the cold desert night. The vultures found her in the morning and ate her guts. While her corpse was being ripped apart by the merciless beaks of the birds of prey, her virtuous eyes blinked a few times. She then got up, her wounds still open, and resumed her walk. Even after leaving the desert, misery and violence were her only companions. She was beautiful and smart, but nothing worked out for her. She tried to be a priestess. She tried to marry into the bourgeoisie and make friends in high places, but in the end, it all amounted to the same result. Her dying countless deaths, all alone, and painfully aware that her suffering wouldn't end as her body ran dry of blood. For some reason, I woke up crying in her arms, but she was still asleep. A ray of sunshine fought through the slits of the blinds, allowing me to look around and see I was in an unfamiliar room. What am I doing here? I asked out loud. Master stirred beside me. Opening only one eye, she replied, "We're dating, remember?" I didn't. Just like my nightmares, someone or something was stealing my happy memories from me. I could vaguely remember us growing closer, but I can't for the life of me recall how I asked her out or how I ended up in her bed. I had spent years thrilled about the first time I'd be with a girl, but now it was all a blur. Still, just knowing that I was with her was enough. 2 weeks had passed since our last reunion. You know how it was weird that Paula's fanny pack was among my stuff? It turns out that this guy Cert had orchestrated the whole thing, crafting an excuse to attack the Psy sisters. We supposedly started a war by using 3 of his men on our rituals, even if we did it because they assaulted a girl. The strongest of us, Master, Twins, Multiplier, Siren Song, and Red Dragon, were battling against Cert and his puppets every night. It was the only way to weaken them and to stop the nightmares to spread further. Jian was a powerful member of our group, but her powers were more defensive than offensive, so she stayed behind to make sure the rest of us were safe. I'm not sure Cert knows where our base is, since he's not a college student, but we're easy to find, Jian explained. We've been spending most nights discussing strategies, trying to come up with ways to help our sisters in the front. Still, he didn't have the guts to attack the Psy sisters' mansion so far. That's good, right? Nature, Jenny asked. I think it's because you're so powerful, Jian. What about his place? Troyfall asked. We know he's based on Morgue Street, but we don't have the strength to attack his den either, Jian replied. To be honest, at this point the war was a little vague and distant in my head. Being one of the weakest in the house, if not the weaker, my job was during daytime, gathering information. Nature, in case you don't remember, it's the terracotta-haired girl who joined the sorority with me, and Troyfall were using their powers to learn past events. Mediator and I were shaking people's hands the whole day to select potential allies. Mediator is a chubby and friendly Latina whose smile can melt an ice cube. Her name is Jimena, and she joined the sorority last semester, making her only 6 months my senior. She usually wears a hood over her head to hide her heterochromia. Her blue eye possesses the power of seeing how much magic energy someone possesses, while her light brown eye can identify which kind of witchcraft the person would be more apt to practice. Her ability is activated by deliberately touching someone, just like mine. We made an excellent team to measure both character and strength. We made up some sort of committee as the excuse to spend the day shaking hands with people in the campus, and it worked. I think I was seeing nearly 200 auras daily. It was our third day, and so far, we weren't able to find more than 5 people who had both the proper aura and magical signature. It was Jian's job to try recruiting these allies. "Hey Sam, can I tell you something?" Jimena asked as we returned to the mansion by the end of the day. Due to the war, we had a curfew of sorts. If someone absolutely had to go out during nighttime, she would have to take at least 2 sisters with her. "Yes, of course. I have measured your magical energy. You're using less than 1% of your potential." "Is that so?" I asked, surprised. She nodded vigorously. "Well, I guess someday I'll become really good at reading auras." "No, Sam, you don't get it. Reading auras is a cool party trick. It's useful. But you are something else. The kind of energy you possess is destruction." "Destruction? What is energy of destruction?" "It's hard to explain, but you have in you to become some sort of deadly magic weapon. I don't know when or how, but you're way more powerful than you think," she said, with certain respect. "You're great and everything, but I'd say that's the main reason why Master took a liking to you. I heard it was the same when Red Dragon joined the sorority." I don't think it was intended, but Jimena's words really hurt me. I couldn't remember the details no matter how much I squeezed my brain, but Master and I were kind of serious, spooning and letting little notes with internal jokes to each other. Was she this serious with another girl from our sorority last year? Would she get tired of me when another girl came next year? Was I closer to a teacher's pet than a girlfriend to her? "Sammy, let's walk faster." Jimena hurried me, lightly poking my arm. "It's getting dark too quickly." It was true. Not 5 minutes ago, the sun was only starting to set, bathing everything in an overwhelming orange radiance. Now the night had fallen over us almost completely. The air around us was filled with eeriness and a heat I never felt before. My lungs hurt from trying too hard to breathe. I felt menacingly observed, like every single shadow in the street had millions of eyes, waiting, craving death, anticipating my fall and the taste of my blood. "We finally meet, number 13, a male's voice stated. It was so utterly normal and average, so calm and deplete of menace, that it made my heart skip a beat. "I fear it will be quite the brief encounter." He said so, like I was an ant he could easily undo his shoe any time he desired. I wasn't able to see his face in the demi-darkness, only a tall figure in a suit. War is war. I was too naive to assume our cunning enemy would wait until past midnight to fight. We were close to the mansion. I prayed that Manhunter would smell the danger before it was too late. I didn't want to die before I found out if Master really liked me. I didn't want to die at 18. I didn't want to die before I could show my parents the person I really was. I didn't want to die without seeing my best friend from high school again. I didn't want to die before my graduation. I didn't want to die hopelessly with a girl I barely knew. I didn't want to die before being told Twin's real name. I didn't want to die before reaching my full potential in everything. The man in the shadows merely extended his hand, and a thin string started leaving my body and started reeling around his arm. He was stealing my soul. A chanting came to my mind. Words I didn't know, words that felt like gibberish, but they also felt right. What do you do when you're all alone and a powerful foe is stealing your very essence? I repeated the words out loud. Nama Zohar, Aish, Alat, Blat, Ak Kiole, Katakin. As soon as the words left my mouth, my head was light, like I was entranced. I felt like I was reaching the origin, something dark and wonderful and untouched so far. And my body and mind seemed to explode in a million pieces, shattered all over the street. I could feel every bit of gravel and every texture in the whole block. It felt like I was literally all over the place. The last thing I remember from the physical world was Jimena's strong hand pulling me by the shirt so we'd stay close to the ground.